River running. Text by Julie Ellis. Illustrations by Tony Morris. Liam plans to join his cousins and uncle on a 5-day kayaking trip. First, he has to take some kayaking lessons. After some adventures on the water, he worries whether he's up to making the trip. River running. Text by Julie Ellis. Illustrations by Tony Morris. Liam plans to join his cousins and uncle on a 5-day kayaking trip. First, he has to take some kayaking lessons. After some adventures on the water, he worries whether he's up to making the trip. River running. Text by Julie Ellis. Illustrations by Tony Morris. Chapter 1. Avoiding the school holidays program. I grinned at the photo that had just arrived in the mail. It was me last summer. It was a reminder of the greatest adventure I'd ever had. It all started when Mum got information about the school holidays program. I pleaded with her not to send me. Please, Mum, can't I stay at home? I really hated doing the school holidays program last year. I won't be any trouble if you let me stay home, I promised. Sorry, Liam, said Mum, shaking her head. I have to work through the summer, and you're too young to be alone all day. But Mum, I argued, none of my friends do it, and I hate all that outdoor stuff. I know, but what's the alternative? Mum asked. If you can come up with a practical alternative to the school holidays program, I promise I'll consider it. Okay? I quickly agreed. I was serious about not doing the school holidays program. Last year we had to swim in a freezing lake, take long walks through the forest, and play team sports. It was not my idea of fun. I like playing on the computer, reading and watching TV. For the rest of the day, I tried to think of an alternative to the school holidays program. Dad was at work all day too. I couldn't stay with my best friend Ben because he was going away with his family. Then I had an idea. What about my cousins Dylan and Katie? They lived on a farm. Maybe I could stay with them. It was worth a try. Mum, I called. Is it okay to email Uncle Jack and Aunt Ella and ask if I can stay there? Mum thought it was an excellent idea. Jack is always inviting us to stay, she said. I hope they don't have anything else planned for their summer. What could they have planned? I wondered. They live on a farm. You can't go away when you live on a farm. The next day I got a surprising reply. Dear Liam, Mum and Dad said it's okay for you to come and stay. We're going on a great holiday, a kayaking trip with Dad. It will take 5 days and 4 nights. At night we'll sleep in tents and cook over an open fire. Mum's not coming, so you can use her kayak. We'll send you a list of what you need to bring. You can swim, can't you? Bye, Katie. Oh no, I thought. Not a kayaking trip. It's bound to be wet and uncomfortable. I was hoping for a lazy do-nothing holiday. I couldn't offer to stay and help Aunt Ella on the farm because Dylan and Katie would know I was chickening out. Then a problem occurred to me. What if I couldn't control my kayak? What if I fell out? I'm not that good at swimming, and I didn't want to make a fool of myself in front of Dylan and Katie. Chapter 2. What to do? Some drastic action was needed. I asked Mum if I could call a kayaking club and enrol in some kayaking lessons. As I walked to my first lesson, I began to feel very nervous. I didn't even know the difference between a canoe and a kayak. I had no idea what to expect. After putting on a life jacket, the first thing I learnt was how to get into a kayak. Sarah, the instructor, showed me. First, slide one leg into the cockpit, she said. Now, place your hands on the back of the cockpit. Gently move your body over until you are sitting on the rear deck. Now, slide your body onto the seat and you're in. Sarah also taught us how to paddle forwards, change direction, and get out of the kayak. As we were getting ready to leave, Sarah said, "Well done, everyone. Next lesson, I'll teach you more strokes and do the capsize drill. You'll need to wear a skirt, but don't worry, I'll supply those." What? I thought. Did I hear right? Did she say skirt? At the next lesson, Sarah handed everyone a spray deck to fit around their waist like a skirt. Had you worried, didn't I? She grinned at us. Once in our kayaks, we had to fit the edge of our spray deck over the rim of our cockpit. The spray deck would keep water out of the kayak. I'm not even going to get wet, I thought. An hour later, I emerged dripping wet from the pool. The reason we'd worn spray decks was so we could practice ripping them off our kayaks once we deliberately capsized. Sarah made us practice capsize drills over and over until we could escape from our upside-down kayaks within 5 seconds. This is an essential skill, she told us. You need to learn to do it automatically. You never know when you might need to do it for real. By my final kayaking lesson, I was feeling pretty confident. I could get in and out of the kayak, go forwards, go backwards, and turn. If I did capsize, I could get out of my kayak quickly. Today, you'll practice Eskimo rolls and rescues, Sarah told us. Eskimo rolls turned out to be very difficult. First, we had to capsize our kayaks deliberately. But as we were capsizing, we had to flick our hips so that we rolled our boats all the way around to an upright position again. It was hard work. The rescues were hard work too. We practiced single-person and group rescues. Finally, we practiced being rescued from the water with a rope called a throw line. As Sarah pulled me to the side of the pool with the throw line, she said, "I hope these lessons have helped you, Liam. Just remember, fast-flowing water can be very dangerous and is quite different from a calm, warm swimming pool. Are you going kayaking on a lake, a river, or the ocean?" I had no idea where we were going to kayak. I'd have to email Katie to find out. The thought of kayaking on a cold, windy sea, fighting choppy waves with no instructor, made me feel very nervous. Chapter 3. Trip Preparation. Katie's reply included a list of requirements. "Dear Liam, don't worry, we're not kayaking on the ocean. We're going down a river. It's called river running. Here's a list of what you need to bring: sunblock, bathers, runners, a sleeping bag, a torch, warm clothes and pyjamas. Mum said you can use her gear, kayak, paddles, life jacket and helmet. We'll take everything else, including the food. You can bring some trail mix if you like. Bye, Katie." What do you put in trail mix? Maybe Mum would know. Mum laughed. You put in high-energy food like chocolate, nuts and cereal and mix them together. We'll make some up later. What else is on your list? I was soon packed and ready to go. Enjoy yourself, called Mum as she waved goodbye at the bus station. Don't worry about Jack's sense of humour. He's really very sensible. Uncle Jack's sense of humour. I'd forgotten about that. Katie, Dylan and Uncle Jack were waiting to meet me off the bus. After 10 minutes of catching up on the news from Mum, Uncle Jack started teasing me. Hi, city boy. Are you ready to run a few rapids? We've found a nice little waterfall with your name on it. Waterfall? I hoped Uncle Jack was joking. I hadn't learned about those in my kayak lessons. Suddenly, I didn't feel quite so confident. That night, I had dreams of churning water and large jagged rocks rushing towards me. The next day, after Uncle Jack finished milking the cows, Katie, Dylan and I loaded the kayaks onto a big trailer and headed down to the lake for a practice session. I think this was so Uncle Jack could check out my skills. I hadn't told them about the lessons. It was funny seeing the surprised looks on everyone's faces when I climbed into the kayak by myself and confidently paddled off. We had a great time on the lake. It was a warm, sunny day and the water was calm. It was easy to control my kayak. Uncle Jack got me to show them what I could do. Then Katie taught me how to keep myself from overbalancing by using my paddle as a brace. After that, we played kayak tag and ended up having a water fight. Dylan and I both ended up in the lake. On the way home, Uncle Jack stopped the car near a bridge. The river underneath was flowing swiftly. This river runs into the lake. Tomorrow, we'll put the kayaks in here and have a practice run down the river, said Uncle Jack. Ella's going to meet us at the river mouth with the car and trailer. I was feeling quite confident. The lake had been easy to kayak on. I'll show everyone just how good I am, I thought. I had completely forgotten Sarah's warning about fast-flowing water being dangerous. Chapter 4. Disaster. The next morning we got in the car and headed down to the bridge. We were to meet Aunt Ella later at the river mouth. It rained last night, commented Uncle Jack, so the river's a bit high. That means a quicker trip, Katie explained to me. As I clipped on my helmet, Dylan hopped on the riverbank in excitement. Good luck, he said, grinning. I was eager to get going. My kayak kept moving in the current. Uncle Jack held my kayak still while I climbed in and attached the spray deck. As soon as he let go, the kayak shot into the river and I was off. It was exhilarating. I let out a whoop of joy. I swept down the river, closely followed by Katie, Dylan, and Uncle Jack. Suddenly the river spread out and became slower. We paddled side by side for a while, joking and pointing out things on the bank. Then Uncle Jack took the lead, calling out, "Follow me, I'm the Pied Piper." We floated along effortlessly. We waved to some people fishing and Dylan spotted a kookaburra. It was a warm day and I felt relaxed and drowsy. Then something on the bank caught my eye. Was it a rabbit? As I sat up to get a better look, I heard Katie call out. I looked up and saw, to my horror, a huge tree in the water directly in front of me. I started paddling furiously, hoping that I would be able to go around it, but the river seemed to speed up. It pulled me straight towards the half-submerged branches. Then, with a loud crack, my kayak hit the tree. My kayak rolled over. I was pulled down under the water. Everything was swirling in blue and white. Branches were slapping my face. The river was pushing my kayak. My mind was screaming, "Get out!" I was panicking. I knew no one could help me. Automatically, I grabbed the front of my spray deck and pulled it loose. Then I rolled forwards out of the kayak and fought my way through the branches up to fresh air. I managed to pull myself onto a solid branch, and I lay there dizzy and shocked, watching my kayak, now in pieces, floating downstream. As I got my breath back, I sat up. I could hear voices. Uncle Jack, Katie, and Dylan were standing on the far bank, yelling and waving. They seemed a long way away. Slowly I realised that there was no way they could reach me. I was stuck in a tree, in the middle of the river. I was going to have to get back in the water and swim to them. I felt sick at the thought. I lay on the branch for a few more minutes, gathering my strength. At least I was wearing a life jacket and helmet, and the river downstream of the tree looked shallow and calm. I manoeuvred myself into a space clear of branches. Then I took a deep breath and jumped back in the water. The water felt cold. I froze. Then I thought, "Swim, you idiot!" Uncle Jack had worked out what I was doing. The end of a throw line landed near me. I grabbed hold and let myself be pulled over to the bank. As I collapsed, dripping on the grass, Katie asked, "Are you all right, Liam?" "Wow, you slammed that tree," said Dylan at the same time. I grinned weakly at them both, not sure what to say, and waiting for Uncle Jack to let rip about my stupidity and the damage to the kayak. However, Uncle Jack just said, "If you're feeling up to it, Liam, we'd better get going. You can ride on the deck of Dylan's kayak. I'm going to try and salvage your kayak." As we continued slowly down the river, we found the fore and aft pieces of my kayak. Uncle Jack slung them over his kayak deck, and we finished our trip without talking much. Aunt Ella was waiting for us. I realised something had happened when a paddle floated past. "I'm glad you're not hurt, Liam," she said, giving me a hug. "Let's get you home for a warm bath and dry clothes. We might have to rethink this kayaking trip." I was feeling cold and shocked. As I got in the car, I made up my mind that I wasn't going on any kayaking trip ever. Chapter 5. A Change of Mind. That night I couldn't sleep. I couldn't stop thinking about the crash and how scary it had been. I was determined never to go kayaking again. When I got up to go to the bathroom, I heard voices. Then I heard my name. "Liam can stay here with me," Aunt Ella was saying. "He's not too keen to go on the trip. He knows he's not up to it. You take Katie and Dylan. They've been so looking forward to it." As I quietly moved away, I felt my face turn red. Uncle Jack and Aunt Ella obviously thought I was not capable of keeping up with my cousins. I felt angry. Of course I could keep up with Dylan, who was younger than me, and Katie, who was a girl. I had a sudden change of mind. I would go on this kayaking trip. I would prove I could do it. In the morning, I asked Uncle Jack if my kayak could be fixed in time for the kayaking trip. "Yes, it can be fixed," he said. "But you don't have to do this trip. You can stay here with Aunt Ella instead." The more he tried to persuade me not to, the more determined I was to go. I helped Uncle Jack fix the kayak with fiberglass cloth and fill the ends with flotation foam. Although I told Uncle Jack I really did want to go on the trip, secretly, I felt quite nervous. The kayaking trip turned out to be much better than I had anticipated. The river was wide, there were no rapids. We travelled slowly and had lots of fun on the way. Each evening we pitched a tent and made a fire. I learned how to cook baked potatoes and damper. Uncle Jack's damper. 2 cups self-raising flour. ½ teaspoon salt. 2 teaspoons sugar. 3 tablespoons butter. 1 cup milk. Mix the flour, salt and sugar in a bowl. Rub in butter. Make a well in the mixture and pour in milk. Knead the dough on a board. Bake, wrapped in tin foil, on the campfire. On the last evening, Uncle Jack said, "Tomorrow we face a challenge. Liam, you don't have to do this if you don't want to. There is a waterfall ahead of us. It's fairly small and easy enough to kayak down, as long as you keep your kayak pointed straight downriver. As you hit the water, the front of your kayak will plunge in, but it will bob up again quickly because of the flotation foam in the hull. But the waterfall has a very tricky approach through lots of rocks. Dylan and Katie have seen the waterfall. They're both ready to try it. But we could carry your kayak down a side path so you don't have to go over it. Think about it and tell me when we get there." The memory of being swirled around underwater was still strong. I felt sick when I thought about it. However, I knew Uncle Jack had a rope. I had a life jacket. The kayak had lots of flotation foam and the waterfall was quite a small one. I was still undecided when we reached the waterfall. We left our kayaks pulled up on the bank and we walked through the bushes until we were beside the waterfall. "Liam and I will stay here with the rope and the camera and watch you and Katie come down," said Uncle Jack to Dylan. "Come down one at a time. Remember to line up your approach carefully. You must be facing straight downriver." I watched as Dylan and then Katie appeared at the top of the waterfall. They came plunging down, then calmly paddled to the bank. Both of them had huge grins on their faces. "It's easy, Liam," shouted Katie. "Lots of fun," added Dylan. Inwardly quaking, I turned to Uncle Jack. "I'd like to give it a try," I told him. Before I could change my mind, I went back to my kayak, got in, and paddled out towards the rocks at the top of the waterfall. I backpaddled slowly around the rocks and focused on keeping the kayak facing straight downriver. Suddenly, I was past the rocks and approaching the lip of the waterfall. The instant the kayak tipped forward, I threw my arms up and leaned back, the way I'd seen Dylan and Katie do. Then the river was rushing straight up towards me. The nose of my kayak plunged into the river. Then quite suddenly, it bobbed up again, and I was floating quietly away from the waterfall. I had done it. I felt elated. "That was perfect, Liam," called Katie. "I got an excellent photo of you," called Uncle Jack. And he had. I've just seen it. Play the great word game. Play against the computer or against another. Write your name and click Next. Guess 5 words from river running. What's the word? Use the keyboard to type the word. You lose points for a wrong letter. You win points for each correct letter and getting the word. Yes, you got it. The word was waterfall. What's the word? Yes, you got it. The word was helmet. What's the word? Yes, you got it. The word was river. What's the word? Yes, you got it. The word was kayak. What's the word? You've already used that letter. Oops. The word was paddle. Great word work. Click Print to print your results or play again.
Story Toolbox. Type your name and click Next. Create a new story. Have fun clicking on the buttons. Then drag items onto the board to make a picture. Type or write your story underneath the picture. Click Next to make another page or click Finish to view your story. Fantastic work! Click Save to save your story, click Print to print your story, or click Start Again to make another story.